All right, so we are now recording. All right, so we are going to work on handler discrimination. I don't think many of our advanced scent work classes or our intro to odors or anything are, we don't really cover it a lot. It is specific to AKC scent work, so it does not apply to NACSW. Um, you do not need to have handler discrimination to get a title in AKC, so you would still get your, novice title and everything. Like overall, you would still get it without the handler discrimination. It's just an added title that you want. It comes pretty much from, um, the basic article scenting that they do in obedience. So unlike regular scent work where they're finding oils or odors, they're actually going to find you. So there's Cindy. Hello. Everybody is going to be muted, just so you know. And if you want your video on, that's cool too. But for handler discrimination, we need some prepared things. We'll probably, I guess people will start pinging in soon. So we'll probably pause for a quick second and then we'll go back. We'll start on the supplies since we've had two. Oh, there we go. All right, everybody's starting to pop in, so we'll hold on for a second. Everybody should be muted. Cindy has no audio option. Tiffany is there, but I've muted you. I don't see your video, but I do see that you have the chance for audio. If you want, you are free to ask questions in the group chat. There's a little like raise hand option you can do for any questions that I'll see, even if I'm showing the like a video or anything. I'm gonna try and, I apologize. My webcam is here, but my screen is here. So I'm not gonna look at my webcam much because my other one was abysmal. There we go. Quality. So for handler discrimination, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, it's 5 minutes. Everybody else can catch up. You ideally want some form of box to start. So it's very, very similar to how we started odor, right? So when you start odor, you start super simple, straight line of boxes. I'm gonna go ahead and share this screen. That way you guys can see. Maybe. Oh, there you go. All right. So super simple, real easy, straight line of boxes. They should be open, and in them, in the ones that does not contain your scent sock, which we'll talk about scenting that, there is actually a blank sock. So blank sock, just like in anything else, is a blank, non-scented thing to help control that stimulus. So I'm gonna pop back in. For me, these are socks that I haven't worn since like high school. They've been sitting in my drawer. They're clean. I honestly don't remember the last time I wore these. So I basically put them in this baggie because I traveled to CCA with them. I wanted them to be as fresh as possible. Ideally, you would probably want like freshly laundered stuff or stuff that you haven't really worn, in a long time. So you want something like this as your control. That will just help remove the thought that maybe they're searching for the sock itself, or they're actually searching for the scent, right? So we're helping control that. With the boxes, you do not ever want to use a box in any way, shape, or form that has had odor in it, right? Because your dogs are already on odor, they're already paired to odor. So for the stinky sock box and for the clean box, there should be no odor present. They shouldn't even be stored, in the same place. If you don't have anything like the ORT boxes, like I showed you, you can just have a regular box. It's just to contain the scent a little bit. I think some of my advanced scent work students, I've given you, after we had our ORTs, I gave you as many boxes as you would take because we had so many. They are really good for that, but again, it kind of needs to be clean. For your stinky sock, ideally, if you are going to practice handler discrimination a lot, you can just keep a whole lot of them, right? I would advise maybe wearing them overnight, put them on your feet, sleep in them, wear them during the day. If you exercise, you could, you know, wear them and go for a run or something. But ideally, you want to have them pretty loaded with scent. I did not um, overly do it, so I think I put them on and then I went to CCA and I walked around, and I think it was maybe 3-4 hours. So I wore them for about 3-4 hours when I put Maple on it. She's never done handler discrimination. The video you will see will be completely new to her. But ideally, you want something that is long enough. And I knew it was hot outside, so it's kind of gross, but I knew they would be really sweaty. So that's how I loaded them. You can also stick them in your bra. You can stick them under your armpits. There's pretty much 10,000 different ways you can do it. I don't really care how you want to do it, but you can keep them all contained. Some people use like a mason jar because there's no plastic, you know, involved in that. Some, you know, plastic is permeable, so it could be permeable if you really want to think about it. But I personally just would wear it before. If you are planning on competing in this, you would want to prep it like the day before, wear everything, and then when you get there, the judge will take it. Let me show you. So in competition, these would all contain like other people's items, right, that the judge hasn't touched. So this is a little bit different than where, you know, in articles, it's all completely neutral and nobody's touched them. And then the judge touches one. I believe there is going to be one with the judge's scent on too, but it's, you know, pretty easy to figure out that ideally they're searching not for the cotton scent or, you know, polyester, whatever you wear, but for the actual, you know, smell of you. So, you know, some people go overboard. I'm not one to wear them for 48 hours before. I would probably just sleep in them. But you can do whatever you want. Just what I feel like, whatever strength you've started on. So if you go for a run with them or something, I would probably stick with that until they get the gist of it, and then you can start varying how long you wear them. Handler discrimination in the long run will be like a cotton ball that is hidden in an interior search, right? So that's like the next levels of handler discrimination. All yours would basically, for novice, would be an ORT, but with socks or gloves, depending on what you want. Most people just use socks. So we are going to go ahead and show the video. I think I've got a couple of people in. Yeah, we've got quite a few people in. All right, so, oops. And if I mute you, it's nothing wrong. If you have a question, there you go. There should be a little chat you guys can ask questions in, and I'll get notifications. How long or how many times can the stinky sock be used? Depends on how much you stink. Honestly, I wouldn't leave it too much. I'd probably do a week or two max of containing the smelly sock. It can be reused, but you would have, you know, I would re-put it on, kind of smell it up, and then put it back in the, you know, the mix if you want. It's not as, it is not nearly as strong as an oil odor that we use, right? But it also is not going to contaminate as much. So again, it also kind of depends on how smelly you guys are. If you are not one to smell much, you know, you might want to wear it a little longer. But yeah, you can use them. If you're keeping them in like a mason jar, I would probably, you know, do like 4 socks and swap them out every like week or 2 if you're gonna do that. Personally, I would just wear it the day before I'm gonna start working on it, because that's gonna be realistic for competitions, because that's about how much you're gonna wear them for competitions. All right. So you guys will get to see my screen. So we are going to watch this and then I'll pause. We'll take questions. These will be different like different stages that I did with Maple. I'm going to try and, there you go. That way you guys don't have to look at yourselves. Again, if you have questions, it'll appear up here, so you're welcome to ask questions at any time. So we're going to get started. Maple is in, let's see. Oh, that's right. Okay, so that's where the sock is. Maple is in a crate over here, so she can't see, you know, what I'm doing. I have put the smelly sock in, and I have put a piece of cheese in. So we're doing exactly like we do with, you know, loading everything for odor. I'm going to pair it to start with. She has never done this before. I personally probably will not compete in handler discrimination. But if you lose stuff, you can always teach them to like find your keys or your phone. So this is where the hide is. It's open. There is one single piece of cheese in there, and there's my smelly sock. All the other boxes have blank socks. So she's gonna eat it. I'm gonna go in and pay. Pay. And then I'll remove it, just like what we did with odor. And then I will swap it around. I'm less, well, if you know me and you've taken my advanced summer class, I am not the neatest person with odor. I am less neat when it comes to handler discrimination because it's not an oil, so it's not as strong. So I'm going to stick her back in the crate, and we'll probably do that one more time paired. I just did this like an hour ago, but I still can't remember how much I did of each thing. All right. Okay, so now we're going to kind of close a little bit. So I'm going to pause. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. We'll pause for a second. If you have questions about the initial bit, I'm going to stop screen sharing for a second. If you have any questions, I'm also going to put my thing back up because it's off. Oops. Sorry, guys. So it is a, you know, open. All the other boxes have a single clean sock. There is food in with the smelly sock open, and we just did that once. She knows the game. All of your dogs know how to search. That's why we only started in advanced network. So they already know how to search. So it's a simple form of what am I actually searching for. And again, do not have any shape or form of odor around those boxes. You don't have to have the ORT boxes like me, but ideally you would, you know, have something of some similarity that you haven't used odor with. All right, and go back. All right, so what you saw was I closed a little bit, just like when we are introducing odor. The goal is an eventually a closed box. So I put it at the end. It's right there. And then I'm going to close, sorry, it's, I had assumed that it had buffered this whole time. Oh, well. We're gonna close everything so everything looks the same, right? I believe there is still cheese in there. So for this round, I still did cheese in there. And then I also have cheese ready to pay. Oh, come on. And then I have to go get Maple. Oh, thank you, Self. I knew I would forget where it was. It becomes a shell game at the end where I can't remember where everything is. So Maple knows, she knows containers. She knows odor. You'll see her kicking around on some of the things. And it's just that she knows that in some way, shape, or form it's going to be a box. But what I'm accepting, especially since there's food in there already, is, you know, her actively driving to get in there. And she will continue to search. But I think in the end, she starts following me. So I end up putting her up, and I almost killed her, but that's fine. So it's still paired. It's now in the front. And then you would want to open it, pay in there. You can throw it on the sock if you really want to. You can, I personally was just putting it next to the sock. And so you'll put them up again, or have someone, you know, remove them and have the other person do that. All right. So we are going to now probably shut them a little bit more. All right. Oh, I unpaired it. So this is now unpaired. Again, I just did this like an hour ago, but All right, so it's the second one. It is now unpaired, exactly how we do odor. And again, like how odor is the easiest part of scent work. So putting them on odor, that was me checking. It is very helpful to understand like what color the correct sock is, because then you don't have to second guess yourself. I also wrote on the top of my box. So you see her giving some form of indication of I think it's inside. I would then go in and pay. Does this box smell like cheese? Absolutely. I did a clean one at the very end with a different box. And same change in behavior there. And that's when I'm going to open it, pay. All right. I will pause for a second and take any questions if you guys have any. Well, I think Tiffany sent some form of emojis, but I can't see anything. It's just boxes. And you can unmute yourself if you want to ask a voice question. If you prefer to do that, that's fine. I'll just remute you. Oh, just thumbs up. Thank you. Okay. Ask a question about food being in the box. Cool. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes and then we'll go. All right. All right, so we'll move on. So now everything that you see will be unpaired. So again, I have to put her up because she's really hard to hide from. All right, thought that was going to bring it up. I'll answer that question, whoever asked it, in a second. All right, so we're doing the same thing, just different order. Unpaired, slightly open box. I have food in my hand. I, generally speaking, am doing training with both food in my hand and in a treat pouch. If you always have a treat pouch, you can do that too. But the thing is, you need to get into that box really quickly, and you need to give them payment really quickly. So, you know, just make sure that you can give it fast. And you'll see nudges a lot of these, but I wait for the decision before I go in and pay. Also, when you are like starting this, I don't add a word. I generally am not going to say, especially if you have been doing this for a long time, I'm not going to be saying anything like, go find it. Whatever your regular search cue is, do not say that, because that is for odor, right? So I added the word find me to it, which at the end I started using it because she understood the game, but you don't have to use it until they are really clearly understanding the game. And you'll see at the end, she has a super fast change in behavior where she's like, got it, it's this one. That would be generally when I'm going to change it. Non-cheese box unpaired. Don't know. Oh, right, yes. So I'm assuming what you're asking, Tiffany, is the box that I'm gonna do next. So this currently, the box that is in right now was the box that has had cheese in it previously. It just has no food in it right now. So it's just the dirty sock in the box that has had cheese in it before, but there is not an active piece of cheese. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. And again, I'm paying it just as much as I would pay an intro to odor, right? So tons and tons of treats. I mean, you can cut it down. She got, I don't know how many pieces of cheese she got, but you can cut it down so, you know, they feel like they're getting paid a lot. So once you have a pretty good working foundation for this, then you are going to squash the box back down. So there's a small little sliver of a gap, like a real tiny bit. And that's really just to kind of help alleviate and let some of that air out. Because again, it's not going to be as strong as as actual odor. So I'm going to really make it easy for them to be successful. Thank you, me, pointing out which one it is. And you'll see as she searches the next few searches, you'll see she pushes boxes. That is something that she does when odor is present as well. If she can't find it right away, she will push blank boxes, and generally speaking, does not push the actual box that has odor. This is my dog specific. So, you know, if I didn't know, I probably wouldn't have called the first one because I just know my dog. But as you guys are working, you'll see, you know, what they call for different things just because it is more subtle. But again, they are trying to find your scent, and they're also trying to find the highest amount of scent. So for you know, all of these technically are my socks. They all probably smell like me. All of these boxes I've touched, you know, I've touched it with the cheese hand, you know, because the cheese is melting and stuff. I've touched all of this stuff, right? So it's not pure versus where a judge would be the one touching everything else, or you would wear gloves or use tongs for them ones that are not scented like you. But again, the goal is the strongest source, just like in you know, regular odors. So she skips past it, that's fine. I've now closed it, so it's going to be harder. And then that change in behavior is what I'm then going to pay. And then, you know, I'll pay it to the side. And then I just opened it up. And I already fed her all the cheese. But ideally, you would want to open it up and again throw in just a piece of cheese if you can. Oh, okay. So that was a pause. I had to go get another box. So this is now a completely blank box that has never had cheese in it before. My other one had a little HD at the top, so I knew which one had cheese for the handler discrimination, which one's just plain. So this is a completely blank box. So we've worked all the way up to pairing, to not pairing, and now we're doing a new box. Ideally, I would have let it sit there for a little bit longer. But I also wanted to show you guys that it takes a second for the odor to come out. So I'm mean to my own dog. I wouldn't be this mean to your dogs. But I also know my dog has a pretty good work ethic and stamina. She'll just go and go and go. But what you will see in this, if she doesn't catch it and she actually starts searching for odor, right? So she doesn't initially catch the scent because that was the true length of how long it actually sat there, maybe a minute or two. It would be sitting there a lot longer. You can see she does kind of do a pretty good search pattern, and that's just her BSing because she always does that. When she doesn't figure out what she wants, she chooses one to guess. And then this is where she starts going and searching for odor because I can hear her. And she assumes, and then that's where she's kind of coming back in. This is the part where you probably want to help your dog. I helped her by moving down the line a little bit, but I'm going to let her search this out. So you can see that she's having multiple changes in behavior, but she can't source it, and that's what I pay. So that really strong source of like change of behavior towards the source, that's ideal for what you want. It's exactly like with odor, but it's subtle, right? Well, it's subtle in that the scent is more subtle than the odor. I would like to believe I don't smell as much as the birch. All right. So any questions? I can show that last bit again if anybody needs it or wants it. You can ask questions over the voice, or you can ask questions over the chat. I'll give you guys some time to ask that. It's pretty simple. You know, once your dog knows how to search for odor, they can pretty much find anything that you pair. Oh, it was buffering, so it might be good to play the last section again. Okay. Thank you, Emery. All right, so I'll play the last. Oh, that was privately. Sorry. Appreciate it. I'm still getting the hang of Zoom. All right. Do you guys want me to? I'm happy to re-show it to you guys. There's like nobody else on video, so. All right. I'll show it one more time. That's good. All right, so again, that is the sock in the clean box. So she does, you can see she shows a lot of interest in the first box. I have no idea why. I could have touched it with cheese on my hand more. She could have just chosen that as one. I don't really know why. Maybe it was that it was there more than it was anywhere else. I don't personally know. I call her back only because she gets super distracted. If you're in your own home and you don't have as wide, of a search area, you don't have to call them back. You can let them work it. But again, she hit it once and then she was like, "Oh, I don't know." And you probably, if you could see me, I kind of stuttered towards going into pay, but that is the full behavior change that I'm going to pay. And then again, I'm going to open it and pay inside. All right. Oh. All right. So you're free to ask any questions if you have. So you paid inside the new. Yes, I did pay inside the new clean box. So technically, it's not clean anymore. If you were doing this for you guys and you didn't have an insane amount of boxes like we do, what I would do would just be put your hand in the box and pay, with the treat on top of your hand, so that's not really getting it gross or anything. You could also, with the closed box, you could start paying on the side, with that. Personally, I do both, but we have so many boxes. I would be more careful if I had a limited amount of boxes. But with that one, I was kind of like, whatever. That personally doesn't bother me. But yeah, so I at least like to do, at one or two inside the box. You always open the box. You don't have to, but I think it can't really hurt. You can't do it in like competition, obviously, but I don't think it can really, hurt to give them that reassurance and reward directly at source. Because again, you want to get as close as possible to source. So, it's not going to be detrimental. And then eventually, if you do continue to escalate through handler discrimination, you would, you know, put like a not a Q-tip, a cotton ball. It would be a cotton ball, so they would always be able to, go up to that. Assume we're now the touch button. Correct. You will. Everybody will pretty much like put their own thing in, and if we were doing it in class, what would happen would be everybody would bring in like a labeled sock, and then the judge, who would be the instructor, would like dump it into the box, close it up. Everybody would just have to remember what sock they were wearing, and the judge has to remember, where everything is. But yeah, all you'll probably do is bring your sock in a container to them, and they will put it out and keep track of it. I personally don't envy the people who have to do that because it's a lot more of a pain, but it actually is pretty fast given the fact that everybody's can be out all at the same time. You just have to, the judge just has to remember where everything is. So moving forward from this, as your dogs get better and better, maybe you've done it 3-4 times and they're doing great. Something that you guys can do is in the other boxes, let's see, yeah, in the other boxes, put somebody else's sock, right? So start having a significant other, friend, someone that you're actually coming in contact with, wear a sock for a little while and put it in. And then you will start working on them discriminating your sock from their sock that smells smelly. So it's not a fresh, clean, blank sock, but it should smell differently than you. So that's how, you start branching out to be more difficult. And then you can start even branching out to do, circles, all the search patterns that we do in Intro to Odor with the boxes. Are new boxes used in between people in competition? That I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think so. I think from my knowledge, every every sock belongs to a box, and then that's it. Yeah, you get to keep your. Okay, thank you, Rachel. You get to keep your box after. Yeah. So you get a box, I guess. You know, they're not going to reuse it. It needs to be blank, but you know, they're not going to like do new boxes for every search, right? Because everybody else is already loaded in there. So yeah, it's really pretty easy to teach. You know, your dogs already know how to search. They already know how to pair things. You guys already have the skills, so it's really not a hard behavior to learn. But the main things are making sure you have a different search word that's, you know, some find me, you know, go get it, something like that. Mine probably is going to be find me because I have go get it as my search cue. If your search cue is find it, you would probably want to do something that's a little farther away and not, you know, starting with the F, because sometimes they only listen to the first bit. So, you know, you can always do that. And so you get to keep this time limit. I believe the containers are always white ORT boxes until you get to the point where your little cotton ball is going to be moved. One of the other instructors can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're ORT boxes. There is a time limit generally. I'm assuming it's probably, I mean, they're not the ones who do ORTs. I wouldn't expect it to be more than 3 minutes. That's a really long time. You also don't want to let them sniff odor beforehand. Generally speaking, what I've heard is handler discrimination is first. And ideally, if it's a well-run trial, ideally they would not have any practice boxes out yet. Ideally, but you know, some things happen, and sometimes you might walk by a practice box. Really try and not let them sniff odor beforehand, because it can be very confusing. I know Kate, the poodle, who she's an elite champion. She was already an elite dog in NACSW, and she was doing, you know, all the AKC things. She knew handler discrimination down, but they had the practice odor boxes right at the entryway for the handler discrimination, and she just searched for odor the whole time. So just be careful about, you know, that. Generally they have it before, I believe. When you're at the cotton ball level, is it always just one item for the owner or multiple? Yeah, it increases in difficulty. I think generally it's think about it just as an interior search, right? So to start with, you have one. So it would be one cotton ball, and then as it gets more difficult, the height gets higher. I believe the size of the room also increases for AKC, and then the amount. So we have one dog called Ranger. I don't know what level he's on in handler discrimination, but she hides like 3 or 4 Q-tips all around. And she has us, you know, she places them, or she has us grab them. If she wants to do it blind, she has us grab them with like tongs, and then we'll place them for it to be truly, you know, blind. All right. So anybody has any more questions? Again, I'm gonna. This has been recording, so I'm gonna post this. I'll try and post it on the Facebook page, but your instructor should be able to email you the link to this on the Google Drive so you can watch it. I think we can upload it to the Facebook page. But it's not something that we cover that much. If there's something else, I'm probably open to doing these little bits. As long as it's feasible, I'm happy to help you guys out with anything. If you want to work on anything, I'll probably do it either once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on the need. So you can comment, you know, on the Facebook page if there's anything you specifically want to work on. And please post your videos if you do handler discrimination on the Facebook page so we can watch and kind of help you guys. If you come up with something that's a little tough, or if you have a roadblock with handler discrimination, just let us know, because it's not as sterile as if you were to bring your stuff to our house, to our facility, as it is in your house. No problem, guys. All right, if there's no more questions, I will end the meeting. Thank you for coming, and hopefully you guys can have something new to work on while we're all stuck inside and going crazy.